Welcome back, guys. Another episode of Denver Beer and Oil. I need a new car, like a fatal case of the Corona. I especially don't need another E34, but I bought one anyway. So, welcome, guys, to my 1995 BMW 550i. That's right. It's 5 liter. And it's got 12 cylinders. So it's a M70 B50 out of either an early model 850i or an E32 750i. This engine was made from, I think, 89 to 95. Maybe 94, somewhere in there. It's a 5 liter V12. It makes 300 horsepower and 340 something foot-pounds of torque. And it's pretty cool. But wait, there's more. It also has a 6-speed.
She's a manual.
Yeah, it's a Getrag 570, I think, 570 or 560. I'm gonna look that up real quick, actually. So it's a Getrag 560. It came in the 850 CSIs, and then some of the 850Is got this 6-speed trans. It's pretty hard to find. Like, it's worth a good deal of money, and yeah, it's the only thing you can put behind these. There's some adapter plate companies that you can run the 420G, the V8 trans, but to have the actual real 6-speed trans is pretty cool. So more about this car. This is a 1995 530i, V8 3-liter manual car. It was purchased new. This is all what I've heard from other people, so I'll get to the part that I know for sure. It was purchased new and then directly went to a shop to have the V12 swapped on. I'm pretty sure it was Corman Motorsports in North Carolina, and it was originally built with a Hartgate 6-liter V12 that made around 500 horsepower. I guess it was just gnarly, undrivable kind of car. Like, it was just that cool. So it has Dynan stage 3 brakes, which are just the Nürburgring package, 4-piston semi-floating rotor brakes. They came on late E34 M5s, and I think they were also on some 8 series stuff. Either way, they're super cool. The M logo is embossed onto the caliper and the rotor. The rears also have M on them. They kind of look like an adapted E36 M3 rear caliper. So I think they're 340 millimeter fronts, 328 rears. It has H&R springs and Bilsteins all the way around, along with Dynan sway bars. So it's pretty sweet. Well done. It's a 95 car, so it already has side skirts. It's also got an M5 heck blend. Missing the trim thing there. Get one of those. It says 550i. It used to have a gnarly stereo in it, which was the nice thing. You can see some history on this car. It was on Bring a Trailer in the end of 2015, before it was an auction style format, and then again in 2016 by the same person as an auction car. So it sold, and that's where our buddy Trevor ended up buying the car. But back then in that ad, it had a giant stereo, and it seems to be that all the wiring is still there. So I would put something cool back in it. This is what I was saying before, is the 5-liter M70, completely stock, around 200,000 miles on it. In 2005, I believe, this car went to a place called Koala Motorsports in South Carolina, maybe? I don't know. Koala Motorsports. They're probably the most famous of V12 swapping E34s. They do a lot of it. And that Hartgate engine came out to go in a different car. I believe it is this car right here. Here's a picture of it. It's the only one that I can see with a 6-liter in it, so I'm thinking it was that car. But they went to their shop. That engine came out, went into another car, and they just put a 200,000 mile stock M70 back in it. The car itself has around 100,000 miles on it, 100 to 105. Somebody replaced the cluster because it wasn't working very well and didn't replace the mileage chip. with the old one. So it says 200 and something thousand miles, but the car doesn't have that much. So plans with this car. Don't want to get rid of it. I want to keep it and add to it. I have a thing where E34s are my favorite car. I want to have a 6-cylinder, an 8-cylinder, a 10-cylinder, and a 12-cylinder. And if I complete all the projects I have it all. Because the last one that we need to get done is I have a 91 red M5. I'm going to put an S85 in. It'll be on the channel, I'm sure, at some point, but I'm not really building that car on a timeline, and it'll probably take me 10 years to finish. So, eventually. But this was one that I was not expecting to have anytime soon. So it's kind of cool. If you guys know about E32s, they share almost everything in the front with an E34. So, not that this is an easy swap, but it is fairly easy to do. The big thing that's a little bit different is this is the E34 remote booster setup, the brake booster. So like the master cylinder's up there, the booster's here, it just has linkage that goes all the way back to the pedal. All the V8 cars have this, so 530s and 540s. The E32s have a hydro boost setup. So they use power steering to create fluid pressure, and they don't actually have a booster. So their master cylinder is still back here. So the only thing that caused a little bit of weirdness is this throttle body, because it's a dual throttle body car. There's two of pretty much everything on an M70. There's two distributors, there's two DMEs, there's two fuel rails. I mean, there's literally two of them. It's two separate engines that are connected by a crankshaft pretty much. But it just extended down and put the air filter down below the headlight. So, and then the MAF is located down there too for that bank. So this is the remote reservoir for the oil filter, or remote housing. That would be over there on the 7 Series or on the 8 Series. But because of brake booster setup being over there, there's oil lines that run all the way through the front and then meet to here. And because with this being here, there is no washer fluid reservoir, because that's where it would go. But besides that, it's complete and everything is where it's supposed to be. So it's super cool.
Should we go drive it?
Let's go for a drive. So smooth. So the first thing you notice about this car is the unending amount of torque. It doesn't have much horsepower, but man is it torquey. It's just like immediate, and it just like roasts tires. It's so good. Oh, those brakes. So if you can't tell, I'm in love with this car, guys.
You're completely sold.
It's just everything that was cool in the 90s, all in one thing. An E34, a V12, a 6-speed. Oh, it's so good. So, things on the inside. It's got sport seats put in it, which is cool. They're in pretty good shape. This is a parchment interior for color. It's like a dark tan. Other things, it has an RD steering wheel. I threw this in this morning. It just had a stock 95 5 Series wheel in it. And I was like, what can we do to make it a little bit nicer? It's got this cool trim thing. Apparently you can buy these on eBay or something for like 50 bucks. But we got some gauges in there. So we got oil pressure, oil temp, and then coolant temp. And yeah, the AC blows ice cold. It's just cool. Like I said, it's got 240,000 miles on the cluster, but the car has somewhere around 100,000 miles. So The transmission it's not very quick, like with shifting, but it is so mechanical and solid feeling. Like you just feel like you're shifting, I don't know, like something very substantial. It just clicks into gears.
The torque really is insane.
Yeah. It's like fourth gear, we're going 40 miles an hour, and you're just like, now we move, we just drive. It doesn't like gain speed particularly quickly. It doesn't do anything. It's not a fast car, but it just feels so cool. It's definitely something you could just drive every day and just enjoy the shit out of it.
Capable with anything you throw at it.
Yep. Needs a few things. There's no headliner on the sunroof. Stereo doesn't work because there's no amps in it. There's some lights on the dash. The ABS lights on, and now there's an airbag light because I don't have an airbag anymore. But overall, this is a remarkably good condition E34. There's no rust in it. It spent most of its life in Florida and Texas, and like all the windows work. Like it's just a good car. Plans that I have for it, being that this engine has 200,000 miles in it, it also leaks a little bit of oil, burns a little bit of oil. This is an OBD1 car, OBD1 engine. Apparently you can run the later V12 that was in E38s and E31s, the M73 5.4 liter. Apparently you can run that engine on OBD1. This engine makes about 300 horsepower, which is only like 18 more horsepower than the M60, the V8. So it's the torque that's cool. It doesn't rev as happy. This engine is 8.8 to 1 compression. The M73 is 10 to 1 and is a 5.4 liter. And I think it makes 330 horsepower or something like that. Do you know, Amish?
No idea.
It's still not a ton of power, but it makes more. There are some options with cams and other things. Schrick makes cams, and then there's the S70, which was the V12 and the 850 CSI. Excuse me. And that engine made 375 horsepower, and it was a 5.6 liter. I would like to get as close as I can to that 375 crank horsepower number. I think that would be pretty good, pretty close to S62. Completely different characteristics. The biggest limitation on this engine is the heads, the cams, and the exhaust ports, and it's single overhead cam on both sides. So it just, there isn't a ton of flow. Like, how can you hate a V12 with a 6-speed? Like, it's McLaren F1 stuff, man. Like, of course, it's an E34, so it handles amazing. It's just so good. And the brakes, just like, God, it's good.
Yeah, you slowed down quick there.
It just feels so amazing. I hear these run out of power at about 5,700 RPM, but I have experience in this one, and it revs all the way to 6,200. So I don't know if it's not fast. There's some rattles up there.
It's just smooth though.
Yeah. It just makes you want to like drive across the country. Appreciate you guys, and we're heading back to the shop right now to finish up the E34x4. Well, not finish it. Make it hopefully drive today. We're gonna work on the transmission. So yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see anything more about this car, or if you guys know of this car and know more history about it than I do, like, let me know. But I'll put a link in the description to the Bring a Trailer, so you guys can see more of this car and more about the history of it. But If you guys know any of the Koala Motorsports or Corman Motorsports guys and they know stuff about this, like, I'd love to know more about this car. This is one of those ones that, you know, it's got a history, you just don't know what it is. So, all right, you guys have a good one.